In the year 2000, we received a gift. It was Spider-Man for the PS1. Gone were the days of side-scrolling beat-em-ups. Spider-Man had finally entered the 3D realm. I mean, this game starts with Doc Ock framing Spider-Man, and you get to see Eddie Brock right away, so you know Venom's gonna be in it. They really just start off with all the bangers. Now, that doesn't mean everything's good. You couldn't be both on the skyscrapers and on street level at the same time yet. So they used a story element to fix that by flooding the streets with poison gas. The first stage consists mostly of you skating around Manhattan with your handy-dandy skateboard and fighting crime. Not really, but this game was made by Neversoft Studios, so for their smash hit of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1, they pretty much got their pick of the litter, and they saw that Activision owned Spider-Man, so they were like, hey, let's do a Spider-Man game. The game actually starts off with you and Black Cat on the roof, and you pretty much, this is just like a practice stage to figure out how to play the game, because there's not been a game like this before. The webs do shoot into the sky and grab onto nothing, which isn't perfect, but that's just what they were working with at the time. Despite the camera, which we'll get to, I really like the fighting in this game. You have multiple different web attacks you can use. The punching connects well. Yeah, the fighting overall is great in the game. I have no issues with it. The camera, on the other hand, let's talk about that. The PS1 didn't release with a DualShock analog controller, so it didn't have any analog sticks at all. At the time of this game's release, there was a DualShock analog controller for the PS1. That's the only reason I can think of where they didn't make it to where you could turn the camera yourself, but I think there were other games at the time that could do it. I don't know. I can't think of one off the top of my head. But yeah, that's really the only flaw of this game, and you'll see it throughout the whole playthrough, for sure during boss fights. As much as I do hate the camera angles, the boss fights are amazing, along with Stan Lee doing the intro to each section of the game. The game did a really good job of making sure that the boss fights weren't too easy to where you could just beat up each boss and just win, but they also didn't make it too hard where it was an impossible feat either. You had to use your surroundings, your webbing, whatever you had at your disposal to fight the boss to where you couldn't just walk up and beat them up, but you also weren't just lost, and it wasn't a Herculean effort either. All the rest of the rooftop levels in the game have this built-in sense of urgency to them, either with the case of this one where there's a helicopter chasing you and shooting missiles and machine gun fire at you, or the next section where you have to chase Venom. That's pretty much what they add to make the game have a sense of difficulty. This game understood the most important thing. They said, hey, Spider-Man's got some really good villains. Let's put him in the game. And just like the Scorpion fight, they made it to where it's just not you punching Rhino. You gotta use your head and figure out that you gotta run him into stuff. And that's how you beat him. There's a couple different ways to beat him. You can use the electrical currents. You can use the barrels to blow him up. Be careful not to blow yourself up. You can hit him, get him stuck in against the wall and get some punches in. But you gotta find a way other than a conventional way to beat him. It might not be hard to figure it out that way, but it's different than just beating him up. This whole next section of the game is you chasing around Venom through the sewers, all different types of places. To be honest, there's two reasons for this. It's to pad game time, and because Venom's really cool, and why would you not put Venom in your game? The Venom fight is the most straightforward fight of the game by far. He disappears, reappears, you punch him a couple times, make sure you don't get grabbed by him or it'll hurt a lot, and then you rinse and repeat until he's dead. I think the sewers are the first time that the game might actually get a little difficult, for sure for a younger kid. These lizard guys are significantly harder than your basic rooftop thugs, and then the little symbiote thing, don't get me started on the little symbiote things in the next section of the game. The sewers do have some timed water puzzles that can be annoying, for sure, if you don't know the route yet. And if you're too slow or take a misstep, it might get you killed. So while this is a really cool camera angle, this part of the stage does really suck, mostly because they don't time the water to where you can really walk past it if you're going your fastest. And really the only way around it is if you just wait, unless there was some kind of web swing thing that I just couldn't figure out. There is this funny part where you're playing like hot or cold with Venom, and you'll hear in your ear like, warmer. And he's spray painted all over the place, warm, hot, cold. When you finally get into the room with Mary Jane, you see a bar, and it's like more than halfway down, so you're like, God damn, Venom, did you really beat the shit out of Mary Jane? But then you notice it's actually the water level, so you have to make sure that doesn't hit the top or she'll die. After you beat Venom comes probably the funniest cutscene of the whole game, where he kind of like makes it seem like it's your fault, and Mary Jane seems to agree.
Our bad.
Our bad? Our bad? I'm gonna kill
Peter
you!
Parker! Just get me out of here now!
Bummer. You're in the doghouse now, dude.
Coming, honey. So, we're partners, but only for now. After we bust those tech thieves, it's payback time for kidnapping my wife.
Jeez, one little mistake. We said we're sorry.
So after all that, you team up. Like I said, I'm pretty sure they just wanted to put Venom in the game, so they did this little side story. It has nothing to do with any of this. These things are the final basic enemies of the game. The symbiote little goos, but they are web resistant, so unless you have a special web like the freeze or fire web, I don't actually know if the freeze web is in this one, but the fire web, which you can get, it will hurt them, but regular web, the only good way to hurt them with the web is to do the web dome and then blow up. That does hurt them, but all the other web attacks are pretty useless against them.
Friendly neighborhood. Oh, for decades I've wanted to shut that mouth of yours. Finally, that time is upon me.
At last, I will crush you once and for all!
I almost recorded saying this was my least favorite fight, and while I was playing it, I sure hated it. But now watching back, this fight's so cool. I don't care how bad it is to play it. Watching it back, what they did with this fight on the PS1 is crazy. They were trying to do something special here. And he has a second phase with a whole new health bar, and then he shoots lasers. I respect Neversoft for this. They said, you know what? We have the rights. Let's put everybody in. They're like, hey, let's put Punisher in this too. You do have to do a couple last stages before getting to those final boss fights. Black Cat's been captured again. You have to save her, and then you get to face the true villains, Octavius and Carnage. Somehow they made the Doc Ock fight the easiest fight in the game, where you just had to press these on buttons. The little force field thing goes up, and then you hit him, and there's a ton of webs and health the whole time, so yeah. The next fight, Carnage, on the other hand, is actually invincible until you figure out how to fight him. So you pretty much just have to knock him into the little sound wave machine in the center without hurting yourself. If you walk into it, it will also hurt you a lot. So you have to knock him into it, and then he's damageable. After you beat him comes maybe one of the most iconic chase scenes, final escape scenes from a video game in history, in my opinion. I'm probably biased here, but if you ask anybody, people that didn't even really play this game remember this final chase scene with Carnage-infused Doc Ock chasing you throughout the building. This was the stuff of nightmares. You're being barreled down on by this monster, and you suck at controlling this because the camera angles are crazy. And it really feels like you're going as fast as you can go. But when you come to these places where you have to jump up, and sometimes you don't do it perfect, you don't do the R1 Spidey web up, and he's right on your tail again. He's seconds away. But you're Spider-Man, so you save the day. And you save the villain. These are some of the best ending cutscenes of any video game, so I'm just going to let them play in their entirety real quick. And then after that, I'll have my final thoughts on the game. I'll have the timestamps down at the bottom, so feel free to skip this section if you don't want to watch the cutscenes. They're not long, though.
It's a good thing Black Cat gave me a call, son.
Looks like just in time.
Hey, Spidey, can you get us Captain America's autograph?
Oh, brother.
Punisher, do you have any threes?
Go fish. So, nice of you to join us for once, Spidey.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was out saving the world. Beating you guys at cards ought to be pretty easy.
Your spider sense won't save you here.
Look who's talking, Daredevil. You've been looking at my cards all night.
I don't need to look at your cards, Punisher. Your bluffs are so obvious.
Okay. Let's keep this a nice, friendly, clean game.
Who keeps inviting this guy?
Hey, will you guys keep it down?
Hey, loosen up, kids! I'm on fire!
Wait, hold on. Time out. All of you guys were working together, and you still couldn't take down Spider-Man?
It's not my fault. Doc Ock's plan was horrible. Everyone knows you can't control the symbiotes.
Hey, wait! So, I'm a rhino, you're a scorpion, and he's an octopus. What's a Mysterio?
So, Rhino, you got any threes?
Hey! Hey, I got a bingo! Ha ha! You guys think you're so smart, but I won! Ha! Who's your daddy, Doc Ock? Ha ha ha! Victory is mine! You're always laughing at me, but who's crying now, huh? Ha 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 ha! Wait a minute, I made a mistake.
So is this game actually any good, or is nostalgia rotting our millennial minds? And I'm here to say, it might be a little nostalgic playing this game, but it's a goddamn good game. I might even say, it's a spectacular game. Maybe not amazing, but spectacular maybe? That really isn't going to mean anything to you if you haven't watched any of my other videos and know my ranking system, but it pretty much goes amazing, spectacular, great, good, nostalgic, trash. So, other than its hardware limitations, this game really has everything you'd want. A cohesive story, where you have a bunch of Spider-Man's rogues galleries that you actually like, and it's our first full 3D adventure with Spider-Man. And that's why I can without a doubt say this is a spectacular game. Please tell me, did you get to play this game as a kid, or did you not play it till you were an adult, or did you play it as a kid now because you're a younger guy? And did you like it, even though its hardware is not as great as what we would see nowadays? Also, if you like the video, please give it a comment, like, subscribe, do whatever you can. Please help me out, and I will be doing more Spider-Man videos. I will be doing Spider-Man Enter Electro next, so stay tuned for that.